So we're continuing now with our tutorial on building a Phonegap application that captures images and audios and works disconnected. And you can see here also that we've accepted the default property here for move file to permanent storage after capture, and that's because Phonegap puts the photo in the file system on the device, but in a temporary location that could be cleaned out if the device decides it needs more space. So we want to make sure that we've moved the image into a private part of the file system that the device will not clean out. And that's important because the images that are captured may not be synchronized for quite some time, and you want to make sure that the phone doesn't clean out those images before data can get synchronized. So at this point now we have an application that is going to allow both image capture and audio capture, but it does require Phonegap to run. So in order to actually demonstrate the actual working component, we're going to go and run this in a Phonegap shell, and we'll continue with that in the next video. But basically, if we just were to run this right now in working preview, what we'll see is an empty list right now because there's no data in the SQL database. And then here's our data field where we can type any arbitrary value in. So if I were to go there and just type in, say, test1, I can now save the data to the list. I can't hit the camera because we're not actually in Phonegap right now, nor can I click the record button because we're not in Phonegap right now. But obviously I can synchronize the data, which would now go and add a new record to the SQL database. And if we were to go to that SQL database right now and actually look at the data in the table, we would see that the picture file name is just basically got just a null image in it, but the audio file name is blank. But actually what we also need to do is specify when synchronization takes place, where is where are the images and the audio files going to be uploaded. So let's go back now to the component right now, and so over here. And now we need to specify, if we go back to media files, where we want to upload these media files to. And we have two choices. We can either upload them to the actual server, the alpha server that is hosting this application, or we can upload to Amazon S3. So if we go here to detail view and scroll down to media files, you can see that we have over here our upload target, and the upload target currently is set to server, which means that these media files are going to be uploaded to the alpha server as opposed to Amazon S3. But since we're uploading these files to the alpha server, we need to specify which what the target folder is on the alpha server where the files will be stored. So we'll go back now and define that. But I think that in many real-world applications, S3 is a better target for the media files to be uploaded to than the alpha server. But let's continue now with uploading files to the alpha server. So we're going to go now back to the list and specify the folder where these files are going to be uploaded. So let's pause now and pick this up in the next video. So we're continuing now with our tutorial on building a Phonegap application that allows for disconnected images and audio capture. And we're looking right now at the property for the media files in a Phonegap application. And we can see that one of the properties is whether you want to display progress while these media files are being uploaded when the user does a sync. And by default both of these properties are turned on, but you need to specify where that progress is going to be displayed. So let's just cancel out of this quickly and go back into our UX component, and let's specify that when the user clicks the synchronize button, we'd like to display progress underneath that underneath the sync button. So let's put a break over there and then let's go to placeholder, and we'll go here and we'll call this placeholder the sync placeholder. And then the other thing is that when the list is initially loaded from the server, the application can retrieve all of the media files and bring them down to the device. So let's go here and put another placeholder over here, and I'll just go here and call this the load placeholder. So we'll go there, and I'll just move this placeholder up, and now go back to media files over there, go over to the detail view, go back to media file properties over here, and we'll specify that basically during an upload we'd like to display progress using the sync placeholder. But when media files are being downloaded from the server to the device, we'd like to display the progress over here on the load placeholder. So we've got those two placeholders defined now, so we can go ahead and click OK. And now we can go back to fields and go back to the file name picture over here, and we can go to image capture and storage properties and specify what folder on the server these photos are going to be where these photos are going to be stored. Now if you're uploading to S3, then you don't need to specify this property. It would be meaningless. So I'm going to just go here and say my images. So this is going to be a folder in the web root called my images, and what I'd like to store in this in this field right now can either basically be a full file name or a relative file name. So I'm going to go there with a short file name over there, and then go ahead and click OK, and then click OK, and then exactly the same thing needs to be done for the audios. So the audios, basically we're going to go here and put that into a folder called my audios, and again I'd only like to store the short file name, not the fully qualified file name. So basically, so at this point now we've fully defined the list control that has the images and the audios in it, and we're ready to actually test it in a Phonegap application. So let's pause now and pick this up in the next video, where we'll start demonstrating this component running in a Phonegap application. So we're continuing now with our tutorial on building a Phonegap application that allows disconnected applications to capture images and audios, and we're looking right now at the Phonegap MediaFile properties, which is on the detail view tab here in the list view builder. So we can see that basically what this dialog allows us to do is specify where the progress should be displayed when we're syncing the media files. So in other words, where the media files are being uploaded to the target server, and then also where the progress should be displayed when the media files are being downloaded from the server to the mobile device. So we'd like to display progress, but we haven't yet defined placeholders in our UX component where this progress should be displayed. So let's cancel out of this right now and go back to the UX and add in the placeholders that will signify the position of these progress indicators. So when the user clicks the synchronize button, which is going to push the media files up to the target server, we'd like to display progress. So let's go here and add a placeholder control. So we'll go there and we'll add a placeholder, and let's call this placeholder the sync placeholder. Then let's go over here, and when the user basically loads the component and the media files need to be fetched from the server and brought down to the device, let's add a placeholder over there. So we'll go there and say placeholder, and we'll go to this placeholder and we'll call it the load placeholder. So now that we've got these two placeholders defined, let's go back to the list controls properties, go over to detail view, and go to the media files properties here for Phonegap, and specify that we do want to display progress when we're uploading the media files and we'd like to display progress using the sync placeholder. Then when the data is loaded, we'd like to download the media files from the server and store them on the device, which means that if the data contains references to media files, then those media files are going to be fetched, put onto the device so that they'll be available while we're disconnected. And this is the folder on the device where we'd like to store those media files. This property here basically has to do with orphaned media files. So these are previously downloaded media files that are no longer referenced in the data, so we can automatically delete them. So we'll say yes there, and then display progress during downloads, and then this will be our load. So now we've specified basically the progress indicators that are shown during both upload and download of the media files. But because we're choosing to store our media files on the alpha server, one thing we need to do is go back and specify where on the alpha server these media files are going to be stored. So let's click OK over here and go back now to the Fields tab, and then we can go over here to the first media file, which is the images, and click on the image capture property over here. So what we want to do is we want to store our media files in a folder relative to the web root. Let's just change this to My Images. But the actual data that we want to store inside the SQL database is basically defined by the stored file name transformation expression. And you can either basically store a short file name or a fully qualified file name. So we actually don't want just a short file name, because that's just going to be some name.jpg. We actually want the short name to be qualified with the let me just cancel it because I overrode it. Let's change so this is My Images, so we want our stored file name transformation expression to be My Images followed by the short file name. So this is now going to be what we're going to be storing in the database is a relative file name with the My Images prefix. So now let's go and do the same thing for the audio files. So we'll go here now and go there, and we can see that the audio files, we're going to put them in a folder called My Audios, and then our stored file name transformation expression is My Audios and then the file name. So let's pause now and pick this up in the next video. So we're continuing now with our video tutorial on how to build a Phonegap application that works disconnected and captures photos and audios. And what we have over here is the settings for the audio recordings. So those audio recordings are going to be uploaded to a subfolder in the web root called My Audios, and the actual data that is going to be stored in the SQL database is going to basically be a relative file name, so My Audios followed by the short file name of the audio file that is uploaded. Now it's important to point out that in the case where you are uploading data to Amazon S3, then of course you don't need to specify any of these properties because the data is not being uploaded to the alpha server. So at this point now we've defined our component and we can run it, but we can't actually demonstrate this working until we actually demonstrate the component running in a Phonegap application on a real device, because we can't do recordings and take pictures with the camera in working preview or live preview. So let's continue now in the next video where we actually demonstrate the component running on a mobile device.